Hello, this is Ali welcoming you to the 2122nd edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline 15th of November 2017. The readers this week are Danny, Kitty, John and Ali, with Peter on the controls. The editor was Phillip, and the production and distribution team is Lindsay and Jean. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Breuer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perret, and is used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we will be reading come from the Enfield Independent and from the Enfield Council website and are their copyright. The events information has been collated by us from other sources. Lead story this week, plug is pulled on new homes, Meridian Water setback, will be read, but before that there is news about the sunrise and sunset times for the week, beginning on the 20th of November, and they are sunrise at 7:27 and sunset at 16:04. We'd like to apologise that your talking newspaper arrived so late last week. Thank you to everyone who has returned the memory sticks so promptly. Do get in touch with us to share your own news and special announcements. We love to hear from you. If you have any comments about the Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diana Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. Now, Danny will read the first item of local news.
Plug is pulled on new homes. Meridian Water setback. Plans to build thousands of new homes have been scrapped. Enfield Council and house builder Barratt Developments were in talks to construct 10,000 houses as part of the Meridian Water development project, but Barratt's terms were deemed unacceptable, and as a result, it withdrew its contract. An Enfield Council spokesman said, Meridian Water remains one of the most exciting development opportunities anywhere in London, but we were simply not prepared to sign up to what we considered to be a poor deal for the residents and businesses of Enfield. Enfield Council therefore informed Barratt that their proposed terms were unacceptable, which has now led to discussions with them ending. We are immensely proud of the progress we have made at Meridian Water over the past 18 months, as Enfield Council has taken direct control to ensure successful delivery. With these fundamentals already in place, we will now consider our next steps to secure at Meridian Water the delivery of high-quality new homes, world-class public spaces, and major new job opportunities for the people of Enfield and beyond. Enfield Council owns 2/3 of the development site. It has secured housing zone funding from the Greater London Authority and has planning consent for the first 725 homes at Willoughby Lane. Meanwhile, a new rail station at Meridian Water will open in 2019. A spokesman for Barratt London said, Barratt London has a long and successful history developing large regeneration projects in the capital, but unfortunately we have been unable to agree terms on this particular scheme. We wish Enfield Council well taking the project forward.
Hospital hosts fire training. Firefighters were put through their paces during a training exercise in an unused hospital building. The drill at St Anne's Hospital on November the 3rd saw 20 firefighters from the London Fire Brigade perform search and rescue exercises in smoke-filled rooms. Techniques needed in a real-life situation are practiced to help develop and build on skills. Toby Eilert, crew manager at Hornsey Fire Station, said, although the incident today was made up, it's very similar to an incident we could have been called to. This has happened before in unused buildings, and it could happen somewhere again. Training sessions like this are brilliant and invaluable. St Anne's Hospital has other unused buildings that can be used for training and filming. For more information, email communications@beh-mht.nhs.uk.
Teenager speaks up at Youth Parliament. A teenager has represented the borough's young people in a major debate at the House of Commons. Sean Sinanan, aged 16, an Enfield member of the Youth Parliament, took part in a discussion on voting for 16-year-olds on Friday, November the 10th. This topic could become the group's national campaign for 2018. Speaking in the House of Commons, Sean said, "The Votes at 16 campaign, to me, is perfectly summed up by the phrase of us, the young people, as the unstoppable force versus the immovable object, being our government. The 2017 general election was a perfect example of how young people can truly be a powerful political force, and the majority of political parties even had votes at 16 in their manifesto. Do we pull out of this strong momentum as people and politicians across the UK realise the significance of this campaign? Or do we again further this momentum, putting pressure on the cracks and push through this immovable object? Because last week in this very chamber, the Votes at 16 bill was debated, and while many of our MPs supported it, we still had the stale, tasteless and quite ignorant comments made about young people. And it was concluded that young people were too immature to vote, and that we have no political knowledge whatsoever. Other potential subjects for the national campaign included a curriculum.
The nurse matron has been named Nurse Leader of the Year. Gillian Belfin Johnson, who is based in North Middlesex University Hospital's Critical Care Unit, was given the honour at the Nursing Times Awards 2017. Her most significant achievement is the building of a brilliant team spirit among the multinational staff. She supervises 98 nurses from 38 different countries who together improve patient care. When Gillian joined the hospital in 2015, she found many nurses had low confidence. Some felt underskilled and struggled to form strong working relationships with colleagues. So she helped build a new supportive team culture. Gillian said, "As our team grew in confidence, the single most important thing was being visible to them and being available for them every day in the unit at 7:30 a.m. That meant they could always come to me for advice or help. I got support from an additional matron so that senior leadership would be available for them 5 to 7 days a week. I also got the help and support of senior colleagues when the going got tough, which sometimes it did. My director of nursing, head nurse and general manager, said, 'Keep going, you're doing fine, you can do this.' It's the kind of encouragement we all need in tough and caring jobs." Rosemary Dadswell, urology clinical nurse specialist, narrow missed out on the award, having also been shortlisted in the Nurse of the Year category. Rosemary has worked at North Middlesex Hospital for 31 years.
Jamboree Trip for 2019. Scouts have been chosen to head to America for one of the biggest jamborees ever held. Leaders from the Greater London North World Scout Jamboree Unit chose 36 scouts and explorers from North London boroughs on Sunday, who will head to Beckley, West Virginia, to join 45,000 others in the largest World Scout Jamboree. The World Scout Jamboree has been held every 4 years since 1920, bringing together young people from 167 countries, with 2019 being the next one to come up. John Ringer, assistant unit leader, said, "All of us leaders are so proud of the 36 amazing young people in our unit, every single one of whom is a shining example of the very best of scouting, and they should be very proud of themselves indeed." More than 150 young people applied to join the unit in order to be part of the event, with each of them going through 2 selection camps to try to gain a spot. The unit will need to raise £4,000 per scout in order for them to join the World Scout Jamboree, and they are determined to do so as a unit. Mr. Ringer continued, "Our driving mission is to ensure that the Jamboree adventure is open to everyone in our unit, regardless of family circumstances. That means we will all work together to fundraise within our local communities every penny of our £164,000 target. Young people, parents and leaders came together brilliantly as one unit at the launch, getting to know one another and sharing ideas for how we can reach our collective goal."
House fire tragedy. A woman has died in a fire that also damaged the ground floor of a mid-terraced house. She was pronounced dead at the scene in Amberley Road, Enfield, after 4 fire engines and 21 firefighters from Edmonton, Southgate and Tottenham fire stations attended. The alarm was raised shortly after 9:30 p.m. on Thursday, November the 9th, and the fire was under control an hour later. The cause of the fire is under investigation.
War Memorial. Communities united to pay their respects to people who gave their lives during conflicts, past and present. Hundreds walked from the Royal British Legion in Trinity Street to a service and wreath-laying at Enfield Chase War Memorial. It was the first Remembrance Day service at Chase Green War Memorial since Enfield Council installed a permanent memorial. The plaque commemorates servicemen and women killed serving their country since 1945 and reads, "To commemorate members of HM Armed Forces from Enfield who gave their lives in the service of their country in all conflicts since World War II." In Southgate, a parade marched from Tudor Way down the High Street towards St Andrew's Church for the annual Remembrance Day Sunday service. In Edmonton, Enfield Mayor Councillor Christine Hamilton spoke to a congregation before everyone marched from behind Edmonton Green to the War Memorial site. A service followed. 2 minutes silence were respected at 11 a.m. at each location. Councillor Doug Taylor, Enfield Council leader, said, "At a time when our world seems more volatile than ever before, it is appropriate that we pause on Remembrance Day and give thanks to the brave soldiers, sailors and air crews who gave their life in the service of their country so that we can enjoy the freedoms they fought so hard to uphold." The borough of Enfield made a huge contribution to the war effort during both the First and Second World Wars, and since then in other conflicts, both industrially and through the sterling efforts of its residents. That legacy of heroes sets a great example to today's residents and shows collectively and individually few can stand up to tyranny and oppression and must work together to oppose extremism. This will make the world a better place for our children and grandchildren.
Children donate to food bank. Schools donated to the North Enfield Food Bank during the harvest. In total, 47 schools in the area took part in the annual celebration and helped collect 11 tonnes of food, which is 9,989 meals. Members of the food bank team went to assemblies where they heard pupils being taught the value of giving to people struggling to put food on the table. Pupils also learned about the hard work involved in preparing food and providing food for a family. Alistair Cook, head of lower school at Enfield Grammar, added, "It was an absolute pleasure to welcome North Enfield Food Bank to our assembly, and I am proud of the contribution and difference that our boys have made. In total, our boys presented 160.5 kilograms of food to be distributed to those people in Enfield who are less fortunate than themselves. We look forward to further charitable giving throughout the year and to welcoming a representative from the food bank next year. To volunteer, email Christina at info@northenfield.foodbank.org.uk.
Message to speeding A10 idiots. A campaign to stop people from driving dangerously has been launched. Enfield Council is working with Transport for London and the Metropolitan Police to tackle speeding along the A10. They will start by installing mobile speed cameras on the road. Councillor Daniel Anderson, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, said, "We've listened to residents' concerns. We are in the final stages of introducing a public spaces protection order to enable it to support the police in taking action to stop car cruising meets on the A10 retail parks. The police will also continue to undertake speed enforcement operations, and TfL is rolling out a sequence of measures, starting with mobile speed cameras in the short term. I am confident these measures will act as a powerful deterrent to the idiots who think it's appropriate to drive like lunatics along the A10. Steve Burton of TfL added, "Dangerous driving has no place on London's roads. By targeting excessive speed on the A10, we are working hard to create a road network which is free from death or serious injury." Detective Chief Superintendent Paul Rickett, Met's Road and Transport Police Command, commented, "My message is clear. Speeding wrecks lives, and drivers who do can expect a robust police response."
Students Excel in EU Programme by Michael Barden. Teenagers moved one step closer to becoming entrepreneurs during a school trip to Turkey. Year 10, 11 and 12 students from Nightingale Academy in Edmonton travelled to Karaman in central Anatolia for the Youth to Business Enterprise Erasmus project. They were tasked with pounding the streets and haggling market sellers for apples and bagels before going to schools and offices to sell them. Before travelling to Turkey, students had to prepare and present finance plans, spending a week improving sales techniques. Avni Aliaj, head of languages and Erasmus organiser, said, The teams were a mix of students from each of the 7 countries taking part, and so the language barrier meant that they had to improvise to communicate what they wanted to achieve. They learnt so much in terms of what it takes to set up a business, and what they learnt on this trip about sales will also help them to sell themselves when it comes to university and work. They have done so well. Confidence has been seeping out of them. Trips to the Netherlands, Romania, Alicante, Paris and Poland, as well as Turkey, are part of the scheme. The next destination is Slovenia in March, with a finale at the Nightingale Academy later in 2018.
We are a vibrant pot of cultures and religions. Enfield Council has launched a campaign for the area to be named the next Borough of Culture. Artist Patrick Samuel marked the start of the bid with a show at the Dugdale Centre last Tuesday. The borough hopes to show how art and culture can transform lives, and its bid will showcase its cultural initiatives, vision, hidden gems and rich history. Patrick, who has Asperger's syndrome, returned to art following a 20-year break after starting art therapy sessions in December 2016. The National Autistic Society, BBC Breakfast and BBC News Online have all acknowledged his work and story. Enfield Council is partnering charity UP Projects to help the bid. UP Projects curate and commission art for public spaces. Councillor Yasmin Brett, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Community Arts and Culture, said, Enfield is fiercely supportive of the arts and culture and positively celebrates the diversity of its community and the transformational effects wholeheartedly embracing new cultures can have on an area. Enfield is blessed with a vast array of theatre, music venues and cultural assets which are much loved and popular both within the borough and further afield, and the borough itself is a vibrant melting pot of different cultures, races and religions which give the borough a vibrant, colourful and generous spirit of togetherness and community. I can't think of a better example of how Enfield views the transformative power of culture and the arts than the exhibition Escape and Return by Patrick Samuel. London Mayor Sadiq Khan introduced the competition in June, which is part of his plans to bolster the arts in London. The City Bridge Trust grant of £300,000 supports the programme. 2 winners will be announced in February next year, one of which will take the title of London Borough of Culture for 2019 and the other for 2020. Patrick Samuel is also preparing for 2 solo shows in November.
A biker has won a national award in recognition for her work with disadvantaged people. Karen Neal, who owns Zenith Motorcycles in Tottenham, was named Carol Nash Biking Hero for 2017 at Motorcycle Live at Birmingham NEC. Karen gives young people opportunities to gain work experience and build self-confidence. She has also hosted charitable activities raising around £50,000 for a variety of causes. Karen was handed £2,000 as the winner of the Carol Nash competition. She said, "I'm thrilled and honoured to have won Britain's biking hero. At Zenith Motorcycles, we do what we do, not for awards, nice though they are, but because we are here to serve our community and the London we love. Tottenham is the birthplace of British motorcycling as we know it, and I'm proud to be part of that heritage."
You are not alone. Expert is giving hope to diabetes sufferers. An expert on diabetes is raising awareness about the condition. Debbie Hicks, a nurse consultant at Barnet, Enfield and Haringey Mental Health NHS Trust, was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes 44 years ago. To coincide with World Diabetes Day on Tuesday, Ms. Hicks is informing people with diabetes how they can continue to live life to the full. The number of people with diabetes is on the rise in Enfield. Nationally, there are more than 4.2 million people living with diabetes. Diabetes occurs when sugar levels in blood are too high because of a lack of insulin. If untreated, serious health complications can develop. Debbie said, "I consider I live a normal life. I just do some extra things to manage my diabetes. Your diabetes can also be managed and controlled, and there is help available to you. Just remember that you are not alone. For further information, go to the following website, and it's quite a long one, so I'll read it twice. It's www.beh-mht.nhs.uk. nhs.uk/enfield-community-services/services/diabetes-service. That was www.peh-mht.nhs.uk/enfield-community-services/diabetes-service.
Filthy bakeries use tennis rackets to mash potatoes. Firms fined a total of $150,000 for failings, by Anna Slater. A shocking photo shows the disgusting way two filthy bakeries used a tennis racket to mash potatoes. Dose Bakers and Sweets Limited, which shared the same premises in Edmonton, were ordered to pay a total of $152,823.23 for their hygiene failings. Enfield Council officers also found an ongoing pest problem and filthy floors and equipment during a routine inspection in January 2016. When they returned in July of that year, where they found additional contraventions had occurred and the level of cleanliness had declined further. Sweet Mahal Company director Rana Ahmed pleaded guilty to one offence, while Dose Baker director Nizakat Ali pleaded guilty to two at Highbury Magistrates Court. The shops were jointly used to manufacture desserts, sweets, bakery goods and samosas. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, Councillor Daniel Anderson, said, "Enfield Council has a duty to protect our residents, and we won't hesitate to act wherever and whenever necessary to protect them against any risk to their health. We take a dim view of any food outlets whose premises aren't kept in a hygienic state for the manufacturer of food. Our residents have the right to expect the food they buy to be safe to eat. The Food Standards Agency website can advise people on where to eat out or shop for food and how seriously a business takes their food hygiene standards. Visit
Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group invites you to its governing body meeting to be held in public on the 22nd of November 2017 from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. at Millfield House, Silver Street, Edmonton, N18 1PJ. Copies of the agenda and meeting papers will be available on our website at www.enfieldccg.nhs.uk from the 15th of November. Queries relating to paper copies should be directed to enfccg.secretariat@nhs.net. Questions about agenda items must be submitted by 12 noon on the 20th of November to enfccg.secretariat@nhs.net and will be taken at the meeting. For further information, please call 020 3688 2867 or email brenda.thomas1@nhs.net.
And now for some letters. This one's from Paul Alford via email. Trouble in Paradise. Yet again there have been revelations about very highly paid people hiding their assets offshore or using some legal loophole to avoid paying tax. I've lost count of the number of prime ministers promising to stop this practice. We lower paid people have no option. Our tax is taken even before we get our hard-earned money. Isn't it about time that at least companies like the BBC deducted tax at the basic rate from any earnings that so-called stars are paid? They can then arrange and argue with the IR at a later date. There should also be very high penalties for people who do not pay their fair share. And anybody sitting as MPs or in the Lords must pay tax on their total income and not get non-dom status. If you want to be involved in UK life, you must pay appropriately.
A letter from Jackie Cuff, who is the Advocacy and Government Relations Manager, Cats Protection. Stop attacks on pets. In addition to the terrible human deaths and casualties that have been inflicted by air weapons, many pets have also been the unfortunate victim of air weapons. Cats Protection airgun licensing petition has already received more than 76,000 signatures. cats receive life-changing injuries from air guns, such as limb amputation or loss of an eye. In 2016 Cats Protection Survey of Vets found that 46% of reported incidents resulted in fatalities. We welcome the government's intention to review the regulation of air weapons licensing. We are asking the government to license air guns in England and Wales, bringing us into line with Northern Ireland and Scotland. Our monitoring shows nearly 4 cats a week are reported as killed or injured by an air gun in the UK. The actual figure is higher, as many remain unreported. We would like to encourage those who haven't signed up to show their support by going to our website www.cats.org.uk/airgun petition.
And I have a letter from Councillor Edward Smith, who is the Deputy Leader of the Conservative Group on Enfield Council, under the heading Warnings Were Ignored. He writes, Barrett, Enfield Council's preferred developer, has recently withdrawn from the Meridian Water scheme. The news is hugely disappointing because the Meridian Water scheme is one of the largest development schemes in the UK and is intended to provide 10,000 new homes and 6,700 new non-construction jobs on a brownfield site south of the North Circular Road. The inevitable delay in finding a new partner or partners will have major financial repercussions for the council and place additional pressure on the Green Belt. This scheme is supported by both Labour and Conservatives, but has taken more than 7 years to get off the ground. We now face further delays before a brick is laid, of possibly 2 or 3 years. The council has invested several £100 million in affordable housing, in buying sites at Meridian Water, setting up its own district heating system company and entering into a contract to move the Angel Road station. We pressed the council to use CPO powers and to establish the planning position regarding strategic industrial land before undertaking the massive expenditure that has occurred, but these warnings were ignored. This latest news is a serious blow to young people locally wishing to buy or rent. It also adds to the long list of council-owned sites around the borough designated for housing that have been left vacant or unfinished since Labour came into power, despite a desperate
knocked out
housing
by
crisis.
seed. Denise Payette was unfortunate to run into the 6th seed in the first round as she represented England at the Hungarian Junior and Cadet Open. The Enfield athlete started well in the junior girls singles, beating Yulia Zaleskaya of Belarus 3-0. A 3-1 defeat followed at the hands of Nikoleta Puchovanova of Slovakia, but Payette made sure of qualifying for the knockout stage with a 3-0 victory over Romania's Luisa Popescu. However, she was drawn to face 6th seed Li Ka-yi of Hong Kong and was beaten 4-0. In the team event, 16-year-old played alongside Charlotte Bardsley and Megan Gidney, and they started with an impressive 3-2 victory over Italy, with Payette contributing a 3-2 win over Marcella Delassa. But a 3-0 defeat to a Russian team in their second group match meant England were eliminated. In the doubles, Payette and Bardsley beat Nomin Bazen and Rebecca Muskantor of Sweden 3-1 in the first round, but were then defeated 3-0 by second seeds Isabella Lupulescu and Zabina Surjan of Serbia in the last 32.
Hampton triumph 2-1. County Cup hopes end. Enfield Town crashed out of the Middlesex Senior Cup with a 2-1 home defeat by National League Southside, Hampton and Richmond Borough. The town needed a confidence boost, but found themselves facing an uphill task inside the first 12 minutes when a misunderstanding at the back gave former Wickham midfielder Max Kretschmer the chance to slot home. Both sides had already exchanged efforts in anger in a frantic start, and Kretschmer kept it up after his goal, forcing a smart save from Joe Wright. Wright would keep Enfield in it at the break, keeping out another couple of Hampton efforts, but after the interval they finally improved. They still struggled creatively, however, and Kretschmer doubled the visitors' advantage in the 73rd minute. Charlie Wasmer's own goal gave Town very brief hope in injury time, but that was as good as it got for Andy Leese's men.
Ignatians fall way below standards expected. Coach Ali Cook was left fuming after Enfield Ignatians paid dearly for a disappointing second half, which consigned them to a 28-8 defeat against Hackney. It was a defeat which keeps them rooted 9th in London 2 North West and looking a little anxiously over their shoulders. Mr. Cook said, "It simply wasn't good enough, and we are better than that, which is the most disappointing aspect from my viewpoint. We need to make sure that as a collective we achieve the high standards we aspire to, for we fell well below them here." The collapse in the second period was at odds with the first half display, when Ignatians turned in a reasonably competent display, which, after an indifferent first 20 minutes, when they had George Cox sin-binned, saw the blue and golds generate some good phases of play and rewarded with a Jordan Wilson try and Jake Bates penalty. Mr. Cook urged his troops to do the simple things well after the break and not over-elaborate. Instead, a nightmare scenario unfolded as the blue and golds found themselves increasingly under the cosh as their supply lines dried up. It was just the lifeline that Hackney craved, and 3 times in succession, Ignatians were punished by the deadly boot of Utan Murphy. It got worse, as hooker and vice-captain Dave Gear was controversially sin-binned and reduced to 14. Ignatians were again made to pay as Hackney scored again. Hackney's second try, again claimed by Sean Connor, was of similar ilk, and the visitors' third, which was preceded by a comedy of errors from both sides, before the most lethal player on the park, Murphy, rounded the defence and applied the coup de grace.
And back to football again now. Borough push high-flying Berkhamsted all the way. Enfield Borough's first FA Vars campaign ended in a battling defeat at home after they were beaten 4-2 by Berkhamsted after extra time on Saturday. Facing opposition who are unbeaten in the Spartan South Midlands League so far this season and top of the division above, it took 2 hours of highly competitive football before the visitors were finally able to tame the Panthers. That's the nickname for the Enfield Borough team. While Enfield can look back at their performance with pride, they know they had, and missed, the chances to progress further in the competition. The early stages were evenly balanced, with Borough far from overawed by their higher-ranked opponents, but Berkhamsted created the better opportunities. The visitors made one count after 22 minutes, when Steve Hawes slotted home through a cluster of defenders after Lucosius had beaten out a shot from Chris Blunden. This seemed just the spur that Enfield needed, and within 7 minutes they were level, when Henderson Brown's 20-yard shot was parried by Carl Tasker, but only into the path of Tage Kennedy, who side-footed home from an acute angle. The game now opened up, and both teams had chances to take the lead, with the best falling to the Borough. Kennedy was unable to find the target from Brown's 40-yard pinpoint pass before Richard Ennin dragged his shot wide. The quality of the football in the second half failed to reach the heights of the first period as the battle for supremacy revolved around the centre of the pitch. Both sides made changes in an attempt to make the breakthrough. But as the game entered the later stages, Berkhamsted upped the ante and it looked like their pressure had been rewarded with 3 minutes remaining when John Munday scored from a corner. Enfield had no choice but to throw caution to the wind, and their efforts were to pay off. A spell of pinball in the Berkhamsted penalty box saw Jemiah Plenty Lawrence's goal-bound effort blocked. Enfield appealed for a penalty, but before the referee had a chance to make a decision, Isaac Stevens drove home the loose ball and was duly submerged below a pile of ecstatic teammates. Enfield's chances of taking the lead were to come in the first period of extra time, as Stevens fired over from inside the 6-yard box before the substitute saw a shot hit the underside of the crossbar and rebound to safety. But it was Berkhamsted who finished the stronger, and they went in front midway through the second period, and Alex Campana netted with an exquisite chip. This time there was to be no comeback, and 4 minutes from time, Sean Coughlin added a fourth at the third attempt after a shot had been saved and an improvised backheel
not
follow-up.
If you follow our guide. Here's some good news for gardeners who haven't quite got round to sorting their spring bulbs. You still have time to plant tulips and in time for next year. Tulips are among the last spring bulbs you can plant. November is the ideal time as the colder temperatures can help stop tulip fire disease and other fungal and viral diseases which remain in the soil when it's warmer. Here's our planting guide. 1. Check your bulbs. Make sure none of the bulbs are soft or look rotten, and if there are any, discard them. Bulbs should be firm to the touch with no signs of damage or disease. 2. Plant them at the right depth. Choose a sunny spot and plant at 3 to 4 times the depth of the bulb or deeper. The bulbs should be placed pointed side uppermost into a mixture of spent compost and added grit to add drainage. Throw a handful of bulb food into the mix, following the instructions on the packet, then backfill with the gritty compost. The most important thing is not to let the bulbs remain too wet over winter, or they are likely to go rotten. So keep your soil mix light and well drained. If you have heavy soil, add extra grit and sand to the base of the planting hole and place the bulbs on top of it. If you're adding bulbs to containers, make sure the pots have plenty of drainage holes and crocks in the bottom, and prop them up on pot feet to stop excess moisture seeping up from below. 3. Plant them in groups. They're best planted in groups of at least 3, but preferably more, a few centimetres apart depending on the size of the bulb. For maximum impact, you may need to plant them closer together than instructed on the packet. If you are planting in pots, the more the merrier, and you may want to layer 2 different types, with one flowering after the other to prolong the flowering period. 4. Repeat plant. If you are planting tulips in a border, you may want to improve the effect by repeat planting clumps of the same variety through the border. 5. To lift or not to lift. Some tulips are not winter hardy and will need lifting once they have died down properly and the foliage has gone brown, which often happens in early summer. Leaving them to fully die down allows the bulb to store more food and produce flowers the following year. When you dig the bulbs up, shake off any excess soil and remove any bulblets which will take energy from the parent plant. Make sure they are dry before storing them on newspaper and putting them in a greenhouse or shed until you plant them back out next year. Some gardeners leave bulbs in over winter and mulch the area, and some tulips do come back, although they are often not as colourful as they appeared originally. Tulips are, however, often treated as annuals, and if you don't want straggly leaves in your flower bed in early summer, then dig them up and start again.
And another piece of interest, Master Photographer, Winchmore Hill man's top prize in annual awards. A photographer from Winchmore Hill won the top prize in an International Photography Award ceremony last month. Panikos Hadjistili, 58, won the Animals, Pets and Classical Portrait categories and the most coveted UK Master Photographer of the year 2017 to 2018, with the 5 highest scoring images in the 2017-18 Master Photography Awards. These are Panikos's 4th, 5th and 6th MPA National Awards, in addition to many other regional and national trophies since he started working independently in 2009. He specialises in family, maternity and newborn, pet photography, fashion and beauty, and of course classical portraiture. Ray Lowe, chairman of the MPA, said, Panikos is probably the most popular and worthy winner of the Master Photographer of the Year award in the last decade. The standing ovation, which went on for many minutes, is a testament to the high esteem that Panikos is held in. The set of 5 outstanding images that won Panikos this accolade showed the variety and depth of his portraiture. I spoke to the man himself to find out more. Tell me about your background. I was born in Cyprus and came to London in 1964. I grew up in Wood Green from 1967. When I married in 1981, we lived in Edmonton and then Palmer's Green, so I'm very much an Enfield resident. I've always loved photography from when I was at school. In fact, my big project for my English O-level was on photography. There was surprisingly little information about photography back in those days. I did all my research from the Amateur Photographer magazine and the Encyclopaedia Britannica that was in my school library. It seemed to be the only place to read up on it. When did you first get into photography? My route into photography was through camera repairs. When I was 14, a friend had a repair business in the West End, and he'd often take stuff home to fix. He showed me a few things that really fascinated me, and eventually I got a job in Finsbury Park, repairing Russian cameras, which was in 1976. Describe your style of photography? My style of photography is that I try to make people look the very best they can, with sympathetic lighting styles to suit their character. That's one of the reasons why I ask people to wear plain, unfussy clothes for their photo shoots, as clothes sometimes detract from the faces and expressions, especially on little ones' faces. My real passion in photography is in high-end fine art photography, whether that is of models on location or of the natural world, landscapes, or anything else. I've gained awards in landscape, the natural world, black and white, wildlife, events, classical and creative portraiture, which shows that I have quite a diverse breadth of skills. But what all of these have in common is that they are all particularly high-quality images with that something extra that appeals to the viewer. What are your top photography tips? My top photography tips are: keep it simple. Make sure the background of your photos, what is behind your subject, is uncluttered. A busy background often spoils a perfectly good photo. If taking people pictures, have them stand at 45 degrees to the camera and their faces pointing at the camera. Bodies square onto the camera look like an identity parade at a police station. Lots more tips on my blog here, blog.panicosphoto.com. How did it feel to win? Winning the awards was totally unexpected. I knew I had some reasonably strong images and thought I had a slim chance of getting something. The thing was, I was shooting a wedding in Johannesburg the weekend of the awards ceremony in Leicester, so obviously couldn't attend. Anything to add? Where to next? Who knows? I'll simply carry on doing what I love with the support of those around me. My lovely wife Joanna and my 6 amazing children: Chris, Mario, Sarah, Abigail, Margarita, and little Rachel.
Secrets of a stress-free Christmas. If you secretly dread Christmas, then you're not alone. Research by the Stress Management Society reveals that 1 in 20 people regard Christmas as more stressful than experiencing a burglary. Meanwhile, more than half of Britons have an alcoholic drink before lunch just to cope with the pressures of the day. It's the best-kept secret of the festive season that in reality, hosting relatives, buying presents, and cooking Christmas lunch isn't as much fun as it appears on the TV adverts. The mental health charity Mind experiences a sharp rise in call to its helpline, Mind Info Line, after Christmas. In a survey carried out by the charity in December 2015, 3/4 of the respondents said they had experienced problems sleeping over Christmas, and 60% of people experience panic attacks during the festive season. Stress levels rocket in the run-up to Christmas and often erupt in family rows on the day. It's the culmination of financial pressures, shopping fatigue, and unrealistic expectations of how the day will pan out. Added to this is the fact that the family is cooped up together for the day, often accompanied by relatives who, for good reason, only visit once a year. However, there are ways to avoid your family Christmas day resembling a plot from EastEnders. Christine Northam of the relationship counselling charity Relate recommends the following. Plan ahead. Good organisation is the key to a harmonious Christmas day. Plan each aspect of the day carefully and share out the jobs that need to be done to avoid feeling resentful. Discuss the plan with others, especially children, so they can express their wishes about the day. Timing is everything. Put together a timetable for the day which involves avoiding situations where guests are sitting around doing nothing. Make sure it doesn't mean spending a lot of time with a particular person you don't get on with. Conflict resolution. Sort out any family conflicts before Christmas Day. Ask relatives you've argued with during the day if you can get together or speak on the phone beforehand to talk through any problems you've had on the day. Steer clear of topics that will end up in arguments. Avoid temptation. Don't drink too much. Alcohol fuels conflicts and lowers inhibitions. You may say or do something you regret after a few too many glasses of wine. The great outdoors. If the weather allows it, go out for some fresh air. This stops children from getting too overexcited and prevents guests from becoming irritable. If all else fails, there's always the Queen's speech. distract bickering relatives. Meanwhile, try to put matters into perspective. It's only one day in the year, and if everything goes disastrously wrong, you've got another 12 months to repair the damage and achieve perfection next Christmas.
Well, the festive theme continues. Enfield Market Christmas Grotto. Meet Santa and his elves in Enfield Market's Christmas Grotto. Bring along your letter to Santa and send it to the North Pole with our special reindeer postal service. Take a seat in Santa's sleigh to discuss your wish list and receive a present, the perfect photo opportunity. Free festive Santa letters can be picked up from Enfield Market on Saturdays throughout December. This community event is brought to Enfield Market by the Old Enfield Charitable Trust. Santa's Grotto visit only £1, and every child receives a present. And the sessions are Thursday the 14th, Saturday the 16th, Thursday the 21st, and Saturday the 23rd of December. And they take place between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Tickets, as you would expect, £1, payable on the door. And it's in Enfield Marketplace, Church Street, Enfield, EN2 6NL.
Southgate Symphony Orchestra would like to entertain you on Saturday the 25th of November at 7:30 p.m. The theme of their concert is Mediterranean Country Travels. Sit back, relax and enjoy a live orchestral concert featuring an overture and 2 symphonies. The overture is Rossini's The Italian Girl in Algiers, and the symphonies are Symphony No. 2, The Pastoral by Rawsthorne, and Berlioz's Harold in Italy, which has a viola solo, which is played by Nicholas Cohn, and the conductor is Adrian Brown. Tickets are £14 for adults and £12 for concessions, children for £5. This includes refreshments. And the concert will take place at Southgate Methodist Church in the Bourne, N14.
And the Forty Hall Christmas Market is back again. Yes, Forty Hall's annual Christmas market. So start your Christmas shopping early in the festively decorated hall and outer courtyard, where local artists and traders will be displaying their high-quality and often handmade goods. The market offers shoppers the opportunity to pick up a variety of creative gifts for friends and family. Look out for the Enfield Citadel Band and songsters and Soup Ukulele bands who will be performing Christmas classics while you browse the many stalls. Sunday the 26th November, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tickets free. I think that means the admission is free, but if you want to have any shopping, you have to pay. At Forty Hall Estate, Forty Hill,
Articles
Enfield,
from the
EN2
November edition of
9HA.
Edmonton Green Magazine. New Centre for Cancer Patients. An Enfield Cancer charity is preparing to move into its new purpose-designed premises in Baker Street, Enfield. Nightingale Cancer Support Centre has just celebrated its 15th anniversary and has, up to now, been sharing a building with 4 other charities, limiting the amount of services it is able to provide. The charity's new building will hopefully be in full use come December 2017. It has a dedicated welcome area, 2 therapy rooms, 2 counselling rooms, and a multi-purpose function room designed for group activities, Pilates, yoga, and awareness courses, amongst other things. Vice Chair Dr. Pat Mahoney said, "We wanted to provide a safe environment for the people of Enfield, a place that welcomes anyone with cancer, their families and friends." Presently, the Nightingale Cancer Support Centre helps on average 600 people per year. But over the next 3 years, the aim is to double the amount of support we offer. The Nightingale relies entirely on the continued backing of the Enfield community and would like to thank everyone for their unstinting support. Anyone interested in fundraising for the charity can contact fundraising at nightingalesupport.org.uk or phone 020 8366 4333.
This article comes from the November edition of Edmonton Green Magazine as well. Art at the heart of the community. Local residents were amazed to see the mural unveiled on the wall of Bountague's community hub, near the junction of Bounces Road and Montague Road in Lower Edmonton. On Friday the 3rd of November, a large crowd of residents and local workers gathered outside the hub. Everyone stood in the warm morning sunshine, smiling and chatting, gazing up to the beautiful mural painting. One resident summed up the mood by saying she was overjoyed. "This is exactly what we need here. It really brightens up the place. I love it." The Mayor, Christine Hamilton, brought added sparkle to the event and was welcomed by Ingrid Cranfield, the Vice Chair of the Bountigue Partnership. The Mayor opened up the event by congratulating Bountigue and the local artist Debbie Dean for doing such a great job and thanked the community for working so well together to improve the local area. Karen Hart, the Bountigue manager, thanked the Mayor and welcomed everyone to enjoy the special coffee morning and brunch. Karen explained that the mural captures the vibrancy of the diverse community, local landmarks, and the precious River Lee that is close by. The mural was commissioned by Bountigue after it consulted local people on what they wanted to see. Bountigue had to seek permission from Enfield Council, and after being approved, the council helped to mount it. Bountigue is a big local project, allocated £1 million over 10 years to make a lasting difference. It is funded by the Big Lottery Fund and managed by a local trust. Bountigue prides itself on being community-led. Even the name Bountigue was created by the community by joining up the names of Bounces Road and Mountague Road. Karen said, "Bountigue is supported by wonderful people, and the area has a growing sense of community activism. The community helps to provide a wide range of services, but we have ambitious plans over the next 5 years to develop social enterprise to sustain the community for generations to come. To do this, we need to continually engage new people with a range of skills. So, if you want to make a real difference, get in touch with Bountigue today. Bountigue needs people with a variety of skills, from business planning to watering plants. For more information, pop into the hub at 229 Bounces Road, Edmonton, N9 8LP, or ring 020-8292-5626, email volunteering@bountigue.com, check out Facebook-Bountigue Big Local, and the website is www.bountigue.com.
History. An article by Joe Studman, local history guide, from the November edition of the Edmonton Green Magazine. Some lost buildings of 4 Street. Angel Place on the corner of 4 Street and Sterling Way is a great survivor from the mid-18th century. The terrace, Grade 2 listed, which should guarantee its survival. However, the properties bordering this gem replace buildings that contemporary conservationists would have fought tooth and nail to protect. On the wall of Angel Place, facing Sterling Way, there's a blue plaque identifying the site of the Angel Inn, which gives the area its name. It existed from the 17th century until 1958, when it was demolished to widen the North Circular Road. It was built on land owned by Edward Latimer, and the rents help finance Latimer School. It was the regular meeting place for the Stamford Hill Turnpike Trust, which maintained the road from Shoreditch to Enfield, and the attached assembly rooms would have been a centre for entertainment in Georgian Edmonton. Crossing Pims Brook, heading north, now stands Broad House and a row of 1960s shops. Just over 100 years ago, Eagle House stood there, with grounds going back to the railway. The gardens contained a fountain clearly shown on the 1863 Ordnance Survey map. The house had 2 eagles sitting on columns at the gateway, and if you visit Lamb's grave in All Saints Churchyard, the neighbouring tomb is dedicated to Gideon Ripon of Eagle House and the Bank of England. The house was demolished in 1896, and the contents were eagerly bought by American antique collectors. On the site rose the Alcazar Cinema and Winter Garden. Designed in Moorish style, this must have been a stunning sight in the first half of the last century. The cinema could hold 1,300, and on busy nights they projected the film onto an extra screen in the garden. The Winter Garden also held top-quality boxing events until World War II, when it was hit once during the Blitz and then by a V1. The remnants were finally demolished in the 1950s. Further along the corner of Park Avenue stood the Elms. In the 19th century, the local chief magistrate, Mr. Marie, owned the lease. It had a pond adjacent to the house that was used as a drinking trough by horses up to the end of the century. It was known as Marie Pond until it was culverted and the water channeled into Pym's Park to form the lake. The house survived up to the 1950s, and Marie Way alludes to the magistrate. The Golden Fleece on the corner of Park Road, now the Capitol Restaurant, has a puzzling history. A correspondent to the Weekly Herald in 1903 tells us that St. Anne's Workhouse stood on the site in the early 19th century. I can find no record of this particular institution, but do know that one of the many Edmonton private schools stood here. It was known as Edmonton House. Henry Solomon was the founder of this academy, which catered mainly for Jewish pupils, although non-Jews were accepted. At a time when it was technically illegal for Jews to hold public office, Henry Solomon served Edmonton Local Board for 45 years in various posts. He was in his 80s when he retired, and his former pupils presented him with a carriage to show their appreciation. Solomon Avenue off Park Road marks his contribution to the parish. I will tell you about some more lost buildings of Edmonton in another post.
And the fourth article from the November edition of Edmonton Green Magazine is on education. Under the headings, Galliard Primary School is on song at the House of Commons, and students' composition focuses on the importance of managing finances. Former pupils of Galliard Primary School, who won a songwriting competition about managing money, had the honour of performing their composition in front of dignitaries at the House of Commons. The four boys, who are now in the first year of secondary school, entered the My Money Week competition as part of their studies about the importance of managing money effectively. Their song is called Money is for Saving, Not for Craving. The winning group of Tyler Pheasant, Sean Johnson, Trey Basco and Owain Montague blew away the judges with their witty lines, which included, "Don't get caught in the net of debt, or you'll start having regrets. Start depositing, stop withdrawing, so your bank balance will go soaring." The maths leader at Galliard Primary, Linda Carrington, explained the importance of managing money effectively. Miss Carrington said, "We had a themed week where the whole school took part in various activities. Some pupils were given a budget to manage throughout the week. Key Stage 1 pupils produced some money moment pictures which explained how money makes them feel in a chosen situation. And Key Stage 2 pupils worked in small groups to compose and record songs about managing money effectively." Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Education, Children's Services and Protection, Councillor Ifa Orhan, said, "What a wonderful honour for these fantastic creative young people. Their song has a huge impact and is extremely clever. I'm proud that this quartet, along with their fellow students, have taken the steps towards empowering themselves and learning about developing their financial skills to help them prepare for the future. This is yet another example of how our Enfield schools are helping students become well-rounded and well-informed individuals. As part of our Fairness for All priority, Enfield Council is enabling children to reach their potential through quality education, skills and learning. Congratulations again to Galliard Primary School pupils and staff. This year's My Money Week, run by the Personal Finance Education Group, took place from the 12th to the 18th of June. The four pupils who performed their song at the House of Commons on the 30th of October won £500 in vouchers for their primary school.
If you're in need of
£50
charity Christmas cards, a good place to go is Palmer's Green United Reformed Church in Fox Lane, on the corner of Burford Gardens. They are open between 10 and 4 every day except Sundays between now and the 9th of December. And they have at least 25 charities represented there with an excellent display of cards.
And Tate Britain is presenting an audio description tour of its galleries. Its address is Tate Britain Millbank. The nearest tube station is Pimlico. And it's an audio description tour of works from the Tate Britain collection displays, and the painting which they used to publicise the event is Henry Wallace's Death of Chatterton. And autumn, when leaves fall from the trees, mushrooms sprout from the damp earth, and the smell of decay lingers in the air, join Marcus Dickey Hawley they tell us, on a tour of works that feels somewhat sombre or even morbid in mood. You may enjoy it, so do go along if you do. 10:30 a.m. for tea and coffee before the tour, and it's completely free of charge.
What's on? Rapunzel's on at the Theatre Royal, Stratford East. Audio described performance on Tuesday, the 21st of November, 2017. Time, 2 p.m. Ticket price from £17.50. Concessions available. With a tradition featuring original music, laugh-out-loud comedy and hilarious audience participation, it's no surprise that a Theatre Royal Stratford East pantomime is one of the best in London. Oh, yes, it is. Please note, this is an audio-described performance at an independent venue. Every effort has been made to ensure these details are correct. However, please do double-check with the venue for the availability of introductory notes and touch tours when booking. Box office number 0208 534 0310 or email tickets@stratfordeast.com. Venue, Theatre Royal Stratford East, Jerry Raffles Square, Stratford, London, E15 1BN. Closest tube is Stratford.
And now some free energy saving advice. Last year, Enfield Council introduced a completely free of charge service called LEAP, which stands for Local Energy Advice Partnership, aimed at fighting fuel poverty and providing affordable warmth. The service offers a free home visit to eligible households, during which green doctors can install free, simple energy-saving measures such as LED light bulbs, draft-proofing, etc. Give day-to-day energy efficiency hints and tips. Help check if the household is on the cheapest energy tariffs. Arrange a free telephone advice service to help with benefits, money and bill problems. Provide referrals for further energy efficiency improvements. Provide referrals to income maximizations services. We are continuing the service this year, and we'd be happy to hear from anyone interested in finding out about taking part. Now, there's a name here, I think it's Egle Carricate, who is the Sustainability Assistant at Enfield Council. And this person could be contacted via, and I'll spell it out, egle.kareckaite@enfield.gov.uk, or can be contacted by telephone on 020 8379 5737.
We have reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So, from the team of Danny, Kitty, John, Ali and Peter on the controls, it's
Goodbye.
Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the memory stick into the packet in a closed position, and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget, you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper on 020 8805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area.